What is a women's retreat? You've heard women talk about them, but what exactly are they? What do you do on a women's retreat? Is it worth considering? That's what we're talking about today. Let's find out. Welcome, I'm Kim Marie, and this channel is all about supporting women to become their most empowered self so they can live their most fulfilling life. Today, we are going to explore what exactly is a women's retreat. Perhaps you've heard about them, or maybe you've even been invited to attend one, but you're not really sure exactly what they're all about. So today, we're going to take a look at what is a women's retreat, what makes women's retreats in particular extra special. Maybe you might want to consider a women's retreat, so we're going to talk about what to consider. And by the way, check out the resources because I have an amazing women's retreat that you may want to look into that I offer each year. And finally, we're going to talk a little bit about what to look for in a women's retreat in case you are interested. So first of all, what exactly is a women's retreat? Share with me in the comments if you've ever been on a women's retreat, because it's really helpful to everyone who maybe hasn't been on a women's retreat or other people who have to share experiences, share examples. But I also run a women's retreat, so I would love to hear what you love about them or what you're wishing for with them. So as we look at what is a women's retreat, basically what we're talking about is this opportunity for women to get away, to have kind of a combination usually of learning and some kind of relaxation, rejuvenation, rest, replenishment, right? And that learning might be anything from yoga to coursework to inner development work or arts and crafts work and any of those kinds of things. They're often in peaceful, relaxing locations, but they really can take lots of different forms. You know, I've heard of women's retreats on cruise ships or women's retreats in the mountains or in the city or touring different countries. So it really can vary. And we're going to talk in a little bit about what to consider and what to look for in a women's retreat if you're thinking about that. But ultimately, a women's retreat is all about women coming together to enjoy a sense of relaxation while also feeling like they're doing something beneficial for themselves, you know, for their soul nourishment. And that is something that we can really sink into. But I also want to offer, and I'll talk a little bit more in a moment about some specifics to look for. But when I say women coming together, that really is typically what a women's retreat is going to be. However, that doesn't mean you can't have a solo retreat. And so I'll mention that in a moment. So what makes a women's retreat so particularly special? Now, any retreat can be special, of course, and there are plenty of multi-gender retreats. However, what I think makes a women's retreat so special is that women are usually the ones who are the least likely to take care of themselves first, right? Typically, it is so common for women to be people-pleasing, focusing on everyone else, getting stuck in some of those inner saboteurs that we have. And so we can think, oh, you know, I can't spend that money on myself. I can't do that for myself. I can't treat myself to something like that. That seems frivolous. That seems excessive, right? When in reality, it can be the most incredible, transformative, nourishing thing we do for ourselves. And the beauty of that is that when women come together, all honoring this soul path of unfolding, of common interest, of common connection, that can make it even more special because we start to nurture a certain sisterhood that allows us to say, you know what, I'm not the only one. And we start to realize our connections. I actually went on a solo retreat years ago, and it was reevaluating my life, you know, really rethinking, do I want to stay in my marriage? What is next for me? What do I want to be doing for my work, etc. This was even before I became a coach, and I had never done anything like that. And I went by myself, but there happened to be a women's retreat there, a women's yoga retreat. And I just started to notice this incredible camaraderie that was happening. And I was invited by the facilitator of the retreat to join them for some of their activities, their meals, things like that. And it was so lovely because, yes, being solo, and I went there to write and do my own yoga and things like that, but having the reflection from other women and realizing that some of these women had been going through some of the same contemplations that I was going through. You know, some of them had been through divorce, or they were struggling in their relationships, or they were reevaluating their life. And so being able to be in conversation with other women and realize that you're not alone makes it extra special, right? And it can be a little bit nerve-wracking, because sometimes we think, oh, I don't want to go on a women's retreat where I don't know anyone and I'm not sure who's going to be there. Am I going to click with people? Am I, maybe I should just go by myself. That's kind of why I honestly did my solo retreat first, because I wanted to just go be by myself with nothing else. And there's so much goodness in the concept of solo time. We need that. We need that quiet stillness. And it can be quite an act of courage to go do something like that for yourself. And we need to remember that in sisterhood, when we can reflect upon each other and be able to help see things in different ways for each other, oh my goodness, it can become so very powerful. So we really want to remember that and honor that that's part of what makes women's retreats so particularly special. And this idea of this common path of unfolding, it's a big reason that I do my women's retreats, and also my Solace program, which is a gathering of women on this common path of the soul's journey, the soul's unfolding. You can check out details about my programs and resources in the description and find out more there. But I just encourage you to really consider that there's something extra special about women coming together in this way, in a space that feels safe, relaxing, rejuvenating, but also allows for the opening of the soul, the opening of new awareness and new movement forward. So why might you consider a women's retreat? Well, I will say this. First of all, it's a very powerful, wonderful opportunity to clear your mind, clear your thoughts, reset, rejuvenate, get separated from the day-to-day, the everyday life that you're used to, that you really can't kind of get out of the weeds, as I like to call it. Sometimes that's when I know I need some space, is when I say, oh, I'm caught in the weeds. I feel like I'm stuck in this space that I can't see what is in front of me. I'm not sure what to do. I'm not sure where to go next, which leads me to another point. It's not just about clearing your thoughts and your mind, but also what is next? Looking at, are you maybe in a transition in your life? Are you reevaluating something in your life? Rethinking maybe your relationship, rethinking your career, rethinking your health and wellness and what you want to do, and even rethinking your beliefs and how you think about yourself and your life, maybe even reconsidering location. Some people like to go on a retreat in a location that they're considering moving to, and that can be really powerful as well, to add something to this process of reevaluation, so you're not stuck in the weeds, so you're not in that place where you're kind of overanalyzing everything without actually pausing to ask deeper questions, to consider other things, and to really evaluate what it is that you want for yourself. A retreat can also provide tremendous rejuvenation. That's one of the things that I experienced when I did my very first solo retreat, and I experience when I do my group retreats. Even as a facilitator, I come back from these retreats. A well-designed, well-run retreat is going to have you coming back feeling truly nourished. You're not going to come back feeling like you needed a vacation from your vacation, right? You're going to feel truly rejuvenated and have this greater sense of renewal and passion and sense of purpose for life. Now, there are going to be some retreats maybe that do some interesting work, or maybe they're very active, and the whole purpose of them is maybe community service type of retreat or something along those lines. And those, I don't think of them quite the same way as I think of women's retreats in general. They are a little bit more like service-based activities, experiences, excursions, adventures, those kinds of things. To me, a retreat is a place where you truly can feel rejuvenated. It's a retreat. We're backing up from life. We're taking a step back and allowing ourselves to say, okay, how can I rethink things? How can I reconsider things? How can I reevaluate things? And you allow yourself to have this bird's eye perspective while doing things and being in a place that really nourish you, nurture you, feed your soul, that kind of thing. So you want to know that it's very rejuvenating, okay? And like I said, the sisterhood is amazing. Being able to connect with one another, meet new people, create new friendships, and also just know that you're so not alone on this path. It's really amazing what happens when we witness others on their path and we are witnessed on our path. It's one of the reasons I love doing my group work, because so often that's what women will say is like, wow, I have this safe place to just be me and not feel judged and just allow myself to explore my emotions, explore what's going on, talk about things, bounce ideas off of each other. Retreats can be a really powerful way of connecting in that way, to connect in a kind of sisterhood as women gather together. So if you're thinking about a retreat, what should you look for in a retreat? Well, first of all, you're going to want to consider, what's your style? Right? Do you like rustic? Do you like very high-end, posh, elegant? Do you like, country city? Do you like mountains or seaside or those kinds of things, which gets into the location? That's another aspect to consider when you're thinking about a retreat, right? If you're a beach person, you might look for a beach-based retreat. If you're a cozy mountains, woodsy cabin kind of person, you might look for a mountain retreat. I host my retreats in the mountains of Colorado with amazingly healing hot springs. And so there's a little bit of this mix of, it's for people who might enjoy water, but also a getaway where they really can see the stars at night and not hear lots of traffic or any other noise and feel removed from life for a little bit. And then it also happens to be a location that's on a working organic farm. And we aren't farming, but there are animals there to enjoy if people want to visit the animals. But the decor and the setup of the cabins is kind of rustic but elegant. So you have all of your needs met, but they're these simple cabins. And so it's like, kind of, people use the term glamping. You could think of it a little bit like that, where you have really cozy, comfortable beds and wonderful amenities and things to work with. So it feels very elegant, but yet there's this rustic, down-to-earth, cozy, homey, cottagey feel. That's me. That's my style, and that's the kind of retreat that I love to throw. I also will likely be doing retreats in other places, in other settings, but that's something to think about. What's your style and what kind of location do you like? And where might you blend some of that, right? Some people like a really minimalist style. Some retreats are based on camping. Some retreats are based more in a resort center where there's lots of extra amenities, right? Like a bar that you could go to, or a swimming pool, or other things. And so really think about those pieces. Then you're going to want to think about the practices. Like, do you want to do yoga, Tai Chi? Do you want to learn about healing? Do you want to do inner work? Do you want to have an art type of retreat where you can paint or sculpt or draw or something along those lines? Maybe you're doing photography and learning something along those lines. There could be endless possibilities. Maybe it's a writing retreat where you get to do writing and there are specific tasks and activities that you want to practice, right? My retreats are centered around inner work, around coming together in sisterhood, in groups, and I teach certain things, and then we do exercises and practices to actually embody those things and bring those things back to our lives when we return. And then finally, you're going to want to consider, what size of the retreat is it? Like, some retreats are really large. Like, there could be 50 to 100 people on these retreats. And then for others, it's like, a handful. Maybe they cap it off at 6 people. And you want to look at what size. And then, as I mentioned, you could also choose to do a solo retreat. And I'll do future videos about how to create even a little retreat in your own home. But for now, this is really about, what is a women's retreat? And what does it mean to you, and how can you choose it? I hope I've given you some good ideas, some good tips. Be sure to check out the resources in the description, subscribe, click the notification bell, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.